Imagine waking up at 3 a.m., and the only sound you hear is the beating of your own heart. No one will send you a good morning message. No one will ask how you are feeling in this moment. You realize you are absolutely alone. And you know what? It is precisely in this moment that your true journey begins. Because when there is no one around, when there is no shoulder to lean on, when all bridges are burned and friends have gone their separate ways, it is then that you meet the most important person in your life, yourself. Today, I will tell you a story about how to transform the most painful loneliness into the most powerful force. You will learn 5 concrete steps that will help you not only survive when no one is around, but also use this time for a transformation you never even dreamed of. We will speak about why loneliness is not a sentence, but an opportunity. Why the absence of external support is a chance to build a foundation within yourself that no one can ever destroy. I will show you how people have risen from the very bottom without anyone's help and become stronger than they could have imagined. You will understand why your pain today is your strength tomorrow. And most importantly, you will receive practical tools that you can apply right now, in this very second, to begin moving forward. Not tomorrow, not next Monday. Now. Because every second you spend in self-pity is a second stolen from your future greatness. Section 1. Acceptance of reality. The first step to freedom. Listen carefully, because what I am about to say is something many do not want to hear. No one is coming to save you. No one. Not your family, not your friends, not a random stranger who sees potential in you. The world owes you nothing. It will not pause to wait for you to gather your strength. It will keep spinning. People will continue living their lives, and time will mercilessly slip through your fingers. And the sooner you accept this, the sooner your true rebirth will begin. Acceptance is not capitulation. It does not mean you resign yourself to life being unfair and give up. Acceptance is a moment of clarity when you stop wasting energy on waiting for help from outside and direct it inward. When you accept the fact that you are alone, something remarkable happens in your consciousness. You cease to be a victim of circumstance and become the architect of your own destiny, because a victim waits for salvation, while a creator forges a solution. Think of a person who is drowning. They can flail, scream, wait for someone to throw them a life preserver, or they can use every ounce of their strength to swim to shore on their own. Yes, it is hard. Yes, it is terrifying. But when they reach the shore by their own power, they will know something important. They are capable of this. They did not just survive thanks to someone else's help. They prevailed through their own will, and this knowledge will change them forever. Most people get stuck in the first stage, denial. They tell themselves, this is temporary. Things will get better soon. Someone will show up. Someone will help. Months turn into years and they are still waiting. They resent the world, people, circumstances. This resentment eats them from within, turning them into cynical, bitter individuals who blame everyone around them for their failures. But there is another path, the path of acceptance. When you fully accept your situation, without embellishment or illusion, you gain incredible power. You are no longer dependent on the mercy of fate or the goodwill of others. You understand that everything you need is already inside you. Every successful person who rose from nothing started right here, from the moment they realized that no one is responsible for their life but themselves. This is a frightening yet liberating truth. I know what you are thinking. You think, it is easy to talk when you have support, when you have resources. But many of those we admire today started in far worse conditions than most of us can imagine. They started without money, without connections, without education, often surrounded by people who told them they would never amount to anything. What set them apart from the rest? They accepted their reality and decided to work with what they had, instead of complaining about what they lacked. Acceptance does not mean passivity. It means actively acknowledging that your life is your responsibility. When you accept this, You stop looking for someone to blame and start looking for solutions. You stop waiting for perfect conditions and start acting within the conditions that exist. You stop looking back at the past with regret and start looking toward the future with certainty. There is an ancient parable about a man who fell into a deep pit. He cried out, called for help, but no one came. Days passed, and he grew weaker. At some point, he realized either he would find a way out himself, or he would die there. This realization gave him clarity. He stopped wasting his strength on screaming and began to study the walls of the pit, looking for cracks, ledges, any possibility to climb out. And he found a way, not because he became physically stronger, but because his mindset changed. He accepted that salvation depended solely on him. So the first step is to stop waiting. Stop hoping for a miracle. Stop pitying yourself. Look the truth in the eye. You are alone, and that is okay. More than that, it can become your greatest advantage, because when you depend on no one, you cannot be betrayed. When you do not wait for approval, you cannot be disappointed. When all responsibility rests on you, you gain complete control over your life. And this is true freedom. Accept your situation today, not tomorrow, not when you feel ready. Now, say it out loud to yourself. I am alone, and this is my strength. I am not waiting for salvation, because I am my own savior. From this moment onward, everything that happens in my life is the result of my decisions and actions. And this acceptance will become the foundation upon which you build your new life. Without it, everything else is just empty words and temporary motivation that will evaporate at the first sign of difficulty. Section 2. Building discipline. Your new best friend. When there is no one around, motivation does not come from outside. No one will pat you on the back and say, I am proud of you, keep going. No one will remind you of your goals when you feel like giving up. In such moments, you have only one ally, and that ally is called discipline, not motivation. It comes and goes like waves. Not inspiration, it is fickle and unreliable. Discipline. Cold, hard, relentless discipline. Discipline is the ability to do what needs to be done, even when you do not want to, especially when you do not want to. It is the ability to get out of bed at 5 a.m., when every cell in your body screams, stay, sleep a little longer. It is the ability to go to a workout when you are tired. It is the ability to work on your project while everyone else is resting. Discipline is what separates those who achieve their goals from those who only dream about them. Many think discipline is something you are born with. Either you have it or you do not. This is a misconception. Discipline is a skill that can be developed, like a muscle. At first it is weak, and even a small effort feels difficult. But the more you train it, the stronger it becomes. And at some point, what seemed impossible becomes your norm. You simply do it because that is how you live. Start small. Do not try to overturn your entire life in one day. Choose one habit, one simple action you will perform every single day, no matter what. Maybe it will be 15 minutes of reading, maybe 10 push-ups, maybe journaling. It does not matter what exactly. What matters is that you do it every single day. No exceptions, no excuses. No putting it off until tomorrow. Do you know what happens when you keep a promise you made to yourself? You begin to respect yourself, and self-respect is what gives you the strength to keep going when everything goes sideways. Every time you do what you promised yourself you would do, you send a powerful message to your subconscious. I am a person of my word. I control my life. I am not a toy in the hands of circumstance. And this message accumulates day after day, transforming into unshakable self-confidence. Loneliness gives you a unique opportunity to build discipline without distractions. No one will talk you out of it. No one will drag you to a bar when you plan to work out. No one will laugh at your goals or call them unrealistic. You have a clean space in which you can create the perfect environment for growth. And if you use this time correctly, you will emerge from it a different person, stronger, more focused, more capable. Discipline does not mean you become a robot without emotions. It means your actions are not dependent on your emotions. You can feel awful. You can be depressed. You can be on the verge of tears. But you still do what you must, because you know your emotions are a temporary state, while your actions create your life. And you choose your future life over momentary comfort. Think of soldiers, elite athletes, entrepreneurs who built empires from nothing. What do they have in common? They are all masters of discipline. They do what they must, when they must, regardless of how they feel. And that is precisely why they achieve results that others only dream of. Do you think an Olympic champion wakes up every day wanting to train? Of course not. But they train because they are disciplined. Here is a practical exercise. Create for yourself non-negotiable rules. 3 to 5 simple rules you will follow no matter what. For example, I wake up at a set time every day. I train 5 times a week. I do not skip work on my main project. Write them down. Place them where you can see them. Follow them as if your life depends on it. Because, in essence, it does. The quality of your future life truly depends on how disciplined you are today. Discipline is not a prison. It is freedom. When you are disciplined, you are free from chaos, from unpredictability, from the constant feeling that your life is spiraling out of control. You create a structure within which you can grow and develop. And in moments when no one is around, it is this structure that keeps you afloat and guides you forward, even through the darkest times. Discipline becomes your friend, your mentor, your compass, and it will never let you down. Section 3. Transforming pain into fuel. Pain is an inevitable part of life, especially when you are alone. It comes in waves, sometimes quiet, gnawing somewhere deep within, sometimes crashing like a tsunami, knocking you off your feet. You can try to run from it, numb it with alcohol, food, endless scrolling through social media. But here is a secret few know. Pain, if you learn to work with it, can become the most powerful source of energy in your life. It can be not your enemy, but your ally. Every great person you have ever heard of went through incredible pain. They lost loved ones, faced betrayal, endured bankruptcy, illness, despair. But they did not let the pain destroy them. They used it as fuel. They channeled that energy, the energy of pain, anger, frustration, into constructive paths. They told themselves, "This pain will not break me. It will make me." This is how legends are born. Think of a blacksmith forging a sword. He heats the metal to incredible temperatures, strikes it with a hammer, plunges it again and again into icy water. The metal goes through extreme conditions that seem destructive, but it is precisely this process that makes it strong, sharp, capable of lasting for centuries. Your pain is the same process. It tempers you. It strips away everything unnecessary, everything weak, leaving only the hardest steel of your character. How do you turn pain into fuel in practice? First, do not avoid it. When it comes, allow yourself to feel it completely. Do not hide. Do not run. Sit with it. Study it. Where does it come from? What is it trying to tell you? Pain is often a signal that something needs to change. Maybe it is your lifestyle. Maybe it is the people you surround yourself with. Maybe it is your own beliefs about yourself. Listen to the pain. Learn from it. Second, use it as a motivator. Every time you feel like giving up, remember why you are in pain. Remember the betrayal you endured. Remember those who said you would never achieve anything. Remember every time you felt you were not good enough. And let that pain ignite a fire within you. Let it compel you to stand up and take one more step, and another, and another. Not out of revenge, revenge destroys, but out of a desire to prove to yourself that you are stronger than you thought. There is a story about a man who lost everything, his business, his family, his friends, and ended up on the street. He had two choices: give up or use that pain as a launching pad. He chose the latter. Every morning, waking up in his car, he told himself, "This is rock bottom, but I will not stay here. This pain is temporary." And he worked in libraries, in internet cafes, wherever he could. A few years later, he built a successful company, not because the pain went away, but because he turned it into an unquenchable desire to change his life. Pain shows you that you care. If you did not care, you would not feel pain. The fact that you are in pain means you are alive, that you have desires, dreams, aspirations. And that is good. Use this energy, channel it into training, into work, into learning, into creativity. Create something from your pain. Write, paint, build, invent. Do not let it stagnate inside and poison you. Release it outward in productive form. It is important to understand the difference between using pain and obsessing over it. Obsession is when you constantly replay what caused you pain in your mind. Pity yourself, blame others. This is toxic and destructive. Using pain is when you acknowledge it, extract the lesson, and channel the energy into changing the situation. You do not live in the past. You use the past as a springboard to the future. Do you feel the difference? Physical pain teaches us to avoid what harms our bodies. Emotional pain should teach us to avoid what harms our soul. If a friend betrayed you, the lesson is to be more discerning in choosing your circle. If you failed a project, the lesson is how to prepare better next time. Every pain carries information. Extract that information, then release the pain itself. Do not carry it with you like a backpack full of stones. Take the knowledge and move on, unburdened. Imagine your pain is a massive boulder blocking your path. You can sit before it and weep. You can walk around it in circles again and again. Or you can begin breaking it into pieces and use those pieces to build a staircase that will lift you higher than you ever were before. The choice is always yours. Pain does not define you. What defines you is what you do with it, and it is in your power to turn it into the most powerful fuel for your ascent. Section 4. Creating a personal vision. Your lighthouse in the darkness. When you are alone, it is very easy to lose your way. Days blur into one gray stream. You wake up, do things mechanically, go to sleep, and it all repeats. Without people around, without external structure, without anyone's expectations to meet, you can start drifting. And this is one of the greatest dangers of loneliness. Not the pain, not the fear, but the absence of direction. That is why you absolutely must create a vision for yourself. A clear, vivid picture of where you are heading. A vision is not just a goal. A goal is what you want to achieve. A vision is who you want to become. It is a complete picture of your future life, where you live, what your day looks like, what you do, what feelings you experience, what people surround you. The vision must be so detailed and alive that when you close your eyes, you can almost step into that reality. And this vision becomes your lighthouse. When darkness surrounds you, you always know where to move. Most people live reactively. They respond to what happens around them. Someone called. They got distracted. A problem appeared. They rushed to solve it. A day passed. A week passed. A year passed. And they are no closer to what they truly want, because they never defined what they truly want. They drift with the current, hoping it will carry them somewhere good. But the current does not carry you to your dreams. It carries you to default circumstances. And these circumstances are rarely what you truly desire. How do you create your vision? Take the time, an hour, 2, as much as you need. Withdraw, turn off your phone, and ask yourself, if there were no limitations, no fears, no obligations, what would your ideal life be? Not what your parents expect of you, not what society considers prestigious, not what everyone else is doing, but what you truly want. What makes your heart beat faster? What did you dream of as a child before the world taught you to be realistic? Write it down, not in your head, but on paper or in your computer. Write it in detail. I live in a house that looks like this. My day begins with this. I work on projects that mean this to me. I am surrounded by people who possess these qualities. I have health. I look like this. My finances allow me to do this. The more detailed, the better, because details make the vision real in your mind. And when it becomes real in your mind, you begin to unconsciously move toward it. Now that you have a vision, use it every day. Every morning when you wake up, remember it. You do not have to reread the entire text. It is enough to evoke the feeling associated with that vision. How do you feel in that life? Proud, free, happy, fulfilled? Evoke that feeling now. Live in it for a few minutes. Then ask yourself, what can I do today that will bring me closer to this vision? And do it. Even if it is a small step, do it. A vision protects you from despair, because even on the hardest days, when it seems you are achieving nothing, when loneliness weighs heaviest, you can turn to your vision and remember, I am building something, I am going somewhere. This is not meaningless suffering. It is the path. And every day, every effort, every small victory is a brick in the foundation of the life I am building for myself. This gives meaning to your struggle, and meaning is what allows people to bear almost any hardship. Be prepared to adjust your vision. As you grow, change, learn more about yourself, your vision may transform, and that is normal. It does not mean you were wrong initially. It means you are evolving. The main thing is to always have a vision, always know where you are going. Because a ship without a destination is just a piece of wood drifting in the ocean. But a ship with a destination is a journey, an adventure, a story of overcoming. Your vision is a promise to yourself. It is a contract between your present self and your future self. And every time you make a choice in alignment with this vision, you strengthen that contract. Every time you choose short-term comfort over a long-term goal, you break it. And most importantly, no one but you will monitor the fulfillment of this contract. No one will punish you if you break it, but you will live with the consequences. The choice is yours. There is an old story about a traveler who got lost in the desert. The sun was scorching, water was running out. It seemed he would die, but on the horizon he saw an oasis. Maybe it was a mirage, maybe reality. He did not know, but he had a choice. Lie down and die right there, or walk toward that oasis. He chose to walk, and every step was torture. But the image of that oasis sustained him. In the end, he reached it, and the oasis was real. Your vision is your oasis. The path may be difficult, but as long as you see it ahead, you will keep walking, and eventually you will reach it, because giving up is not an option. Section 5. Acting despite fear. Movement as medicine. Fear is a paralyzing force. Especially when you are alone, it can become deafening. Fear of failure, fear that you will not cope, fear that you will waste years on something that will not work out, fear that people were right when they said you were not capable of more. This fear can freeze you in place, turn you into a statue that does not move, does not breathe, does not live. And here is what you need to understand right now. Fear never fully disappears. Never. Successful people are not fearless. They act despite fear. Fear is an emotion, an ancient survival mechanism. Thousands of years ago, it protected our ancestors from predators. Today, it often becomes an obstacle, because we fear not real threats to our lives, but imagined threats to our ego. We fear being ridiculed, rejected, unrecognized. But here is the thing. These fears live only in your head. They cannot physically harm you. They can only stop you if you let them. The only way to defeat fear is to act in spite of it. Imagine fear as a large, vicious dog standing at the gate you need to pass through. It barks, growls, shows its teeth. Most people see this dog and turn around. They say, too dangerous. I will not pass. And they spend their entire lives on the safe side of the gate. But on the other side of the gate is nothing, only the wasteland of their unfulfilled potential. But if you decide to pass, if you take a step forward, despite the barking, you will discover an amazing thing. The dog is tied up. It cannot reach you. Its bark is terrifying, but it is powerless. It is the same with fear. The key is to take small steps. You do not need to perform heroic feats to overcome fear. You just need to do what scares you, little by little, regularly. Afraid of public speaking? Start by speaking in front of a mirror, then in front of one person, then in front of a group of 3. Gradually expand your comfort zone. Afraid to start a business? Start small, with one client, one product. You do not need to build an empire immediately. You just need to start moving, because movement is the antidote to fear. When you act, several things happen. First, you prove to yourself that you are capable. Every action, even if the result is not perfect, strengthens your self-belief. Second, you gather experience and information. You learn what works and what does not. You become smarter, more experienced. Third, the fear begins to weaken, because fear feeds on uncertainty. When you act, uncertainty turns into certainty. What seemed terrifying in imagination turns out to be quite surmountable in reality. There is a concept used by military and special forces: act despite incomplete information. You will never have all the data. You will never be fully ready. Conditions will never be ideal. If you wait for the perfect moment, you will wait forever. Successful people act with about 60 to 70% of the information. They make a decision, take a step, adjust course along the way. They understand. Action with the risk of error is better than inaction with the guarantee of stagnation. Loneliness gives you an advantage in this aspect. When there are no people around, there is no social pressure either. You can fail, and no one will see. You can try something crazy, and you will not have to explain your actions. Use this. Experiment, try, take risks. The worst that can happen is you learn that this path does not work, and you try another. But at least you will be moving, not standing still, paralyzed by the fear of what others might think. Think about what scares you most in your current situation. What is it? Starting over? Trying a new career? Admitting you were wrong? Reaching out for help, though you are used to being strong? Whatever it is, write it down. Now ask yourself, what is the worst that could happen if I do this? Really, without dramatizing. You will usually find that the worst is temporary discomfort, embarrassment, a financial setback that can be overcome. Rarely is it a matter of life and death. And when you realize this, fear loses its power over you. There is an exercise practiced by the Stoics: visualization of the worst-case scenario. Imagine everything went wrong. You lost everything. What then? Will you die? No. You will start over. You will still have your knowledge, your skills, your will. You will survive. And if you can survive the worst-case scenario, then what is there to fear? This technique does not make you a pessimist. It frees you from the paralyzing fear of failure. You understand that even the worst outcome is not the end of the world, and this gives you the courage to act. Action breeds confidence. Confidence breeds more action. More action leads to results. Results strengthen self-belief. This is a positive spiral, but it begins with the first action taken despite fear. Not after the fear goes away. Not when you feel ready. Now, with trembling hands, with a racing heart, with a voice of uncertainty in your head, you take a step, and then another, and you discover that fear retreats not because it disappeared, but because you became bigger than it. You became a person of action, not a slave to fear. Section 6. Connection to Stoicism. Ancient wisdom for modern trials. Everything we have discussed. Acceptance of reality. Building discipline. Transforming pain. Creating a vision. Acting despite fear. These are not new ideas. These principles were practiced thousands of years ago by philosophers we now call Stoics. Marcus Aurelius, a Roman emperor who governed an empire and fought enemies, kept a personal diary in which he reminded himself, "The only thing I control is my thoughts and actions." Epictetus, born a slave, taught that freedom does not depend on external circumstances, but lives within the mind. Seneca wrote about how to turn difficulties into opportunities for growth. Stoicism was not a philosophy for the weak or privileged. It was a practical system for survival and flourishing in a harsh, unpredictable world. Emperor, slave, merchant, all found in Stoicism the tools to remain strong when life crashed down upon them. And today, 2,000 years later, these principles work just as effectively, because human nature has not changed. We still face fear, pain, uncertainty, and we still need ways to stand firm in the face of these trials. One of the central principles of Stoicism is the dichotomy of control. There are things within your power and things outside it. Within your power, your thoughts, your decisions, your actions, your attitude toward what happens. Outside your power, the opinions of others, the past, many external events, the outcome of your efforts. The Stoics taught, invest all your energy in what you control and accept calmly what you do not control. This is not passivity. It is a wise concentration of resources. When you are alone, this principle becomes especially important. You cannot control whether people will return to your life. You cannot control how quickly your situation will change. You cannot control what those who left you think of you. But you can control how you use this time. You can control what you invest your energy in. You can control what kind of person you build yourself into each day. And if you focus on this, on what is within your power, you will discover you have far more strength than you thought. The Stoics spoke of obstacles. The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way. That which stands on your road does not block you. It is an opportunity to exercise virtue, develop strength, find a new solution. Loneliness is an obstacle, yes, but it is also an opportunity to build self-reliance. Pain is an obstacle, yes, but it is also an opportunity to develop resilience. Fear is an obstacle, yes, but it is also an opportunity to cultivate courage. Every trial contains within it the seed of opportunity, if you are willing to look for it. Another Stoic principle is amor fati, love of fate. This does not mean passively accepting everything that happens and saying, well, that's fate. It means loving your life exactly as it is, with all its hardships, because it is precisely these hardships that make you who you are becoming. If your life were easy, you would remain weak. If there were always people around to solve your problems, you would never learn to solve them yourself. Your trials are not a curse. They are your education. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Fire turns into flame everything thrown into it. A small flame would be extinguished by this. A bright flame instantly appropriates whatever falls into it, feeds on it, and rises even higher. You are the flame. Your difficulties are the fuel. You can let them extinguish you, or you can use them to burn brighter. The Stoics chose the latter, and you can choose the same." A practical exercise from Stoicism. Each evening, spend a few minutes in reflection. Ask yourself 3 questions. What did I do well today? What could I have done better? How can I apply what I learned tomorrow? This is not self-criticism for its own sake. It is an honest assessment that helps you grow. The Stoics believed in daily self-improvement. They did not expect to become perfect. They aimed to become slightly better than they were yesterday. And if you do this every day, in a year, you will be unrecognizable to the person you are today. Stoicism teaches that happiness and freedom do not depend on external circumstances. They depend on your internal state. You can be free in prison if your mind is free. You can be happy in poverty if you value what you have. And conversely, You can be unhappy in luxury if your mind is full of desires and fears. This means that no matter how difficult your situation, you have power over your state. You choose how to interpret what happens. You choose where to find meaning. And this is a choice no one can take from you. When you are alone, when no one is around, you find yourself in the same situation as the ancient Stoics, face to face with reality, without illusions, without crutches, without distractions. This is frightening, but it is also a moment of truth. It is the moment when you can begin to live, not by others' scripts, but by your own principles. It is the moment when you can build a life based not on external success, but on internal strength. And this, ultimately, is the only kind of success that truly matters, and that no one can ever take from you. You have reached the end of this path, but this is only the beginning of your own. Everything you have heard today can be distilled into one simple truth. You are stronger than you think, and you are capable of far more than you can imagine. The loneliness that seems like a curse can become the greatest gift. Time, when you rebuild yourself, when you become the person you always wanted to be, but never dared to. Accept reality as it is. Build discipline that will become your foundation. Turn pain into fuel for your growth. Create a clear vision that will guide you forward. Act despite fear, again and again. And remember the wisdom of the Stoics. You control only yourself, your thoughts and actions. But this is more than enough to change your entire life. In a year, in 2, in 5 years, you will look back on this moment when you were alone, when it seemed all was lost, and you will understand, it was right there that everything began. It was right there that the real you was born. It was right then that you learned to stand on your own feet and move forward regardless. And this knowledge, this strength, this certainty will stay with you forever. Now go and create the life you dream of. It is waiting for you, and the only thing standing between you and it is your decision to begin right now.